All right, friends, pull up a log, stoke the fire, and let me tell you the epic tale of a man who turned the music world upside down. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness himself. This is a story of rags to riches, of downfall and redemption, filled with the kind of twists that make legends. Imagine, if you will, a gritty, post war Birmingham, England, where factories belch smoke into gray skies and the streets are tough, offering little promise to their denizens. It was here, on December 3rd, 1948, that John Michael Osborne came into the world, the fourth of six children in a working class family, barely scraping by. Young Ozzy was a dreamer in a place where dreams weren't supposed to thrive. School was a struggle for Ozzy. Plagued by dyslexia, he found the classrooms of his youth more confining than educational. But it was during these formative years that something magical happened. The Beatles came on the scene, and Ozzy knew he had to be a part of that world. Music became his escape, his salvation from the bleak prospects his environment offered. Fast forward a bit, and picture a teenage Ozzy buzzing with the raw energy of youth, placing an ad in a local shop. Ozzy Zig needs gig, has own PA. It was this ad that brought together the founding members of what would soon become a band called Black Sabbath. Together with Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward, Ozzy embarked on a musical journey that started in small, dingy clubs but was destined for much greater things. Black Sabbath's sound was like nothing else at the time. Darker, heavier, infused with a sense of doom drawn from the industrial soundscape of their hometown. When they released their self titled debut album in 1970, it wasn't just music they were putting out, it was a cultural bombshell, with tracks like NIB and the foreboding Black Sabbath, which captured the existential dread of the era. As the frontman of Black Sabbath, Ozzy's voice became synonymous with heavy metal. Their music, filled with tales of war, insanity, and the occult, struck a chord with a generation feeling the weight of the Cold War and social upheaval. Albums like Paranoid and Master of Reality solidified their place at the top of the hard rock pantheon, but as their star rose, so did the pressures and temptations that accompany fame. The wild man persona that Ozzy cultivated, culminating in outrageous stunts like biting the head off a bat during a concert, was part bravado and part cry for help. Behind the scenes, Ozzy was battling personal demons, grappling with addiction and the strain it put on his relationships and his health. By 1979, it all came crashing down when he was fired from Black Sabbath, a move that could have been the end of his career. But Ozzy wasn't done yet. With Sharon Arden, who would become his manager and wife, at his side, he rose from the ashes. His solo career kicked off with Blizzard of Oz in 1980, featuring classics like Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley. These songs didn't just revive his career, they launched him into the stratosphere and defined the sound of 80s metal. Ozzy's life took another turn in the 2000s when he and his family starred in the reality show The Osbournes. This show revealed a different side of the metal god, less the Prince of Darkness and more the befuddled patriarch of a loving, albeit eccentric, family. It endeared him to a whole new generation of fans who saw beyond the persona to the man himself. Through it all, through the highs and the lows, the triumphs and the setbacks, Ozzy has remained a figure of immense influence and resilience. His story is a testament to the power of redemption and the human capacity to change. Even as he battles Parkinson's disease, his spirit remains unbroken, his will to perform undimmed. As we sit here around this campfire, let the story of Ozzy Osbourne remind us that no matter how dark the night, no matter how fierce the storm, there's always a chance for a new dawn. So here's to Ozzy, a man who lived his life at the edge, who danced with darkness, and who somehow found his way back to the light. Cheers to the undying spirit of the Prince of Darkness. As the embers of our campfire glow brighter, let's dive deeper into the life of Ozzy Osbourne after his meteoric rise and subsequent revival. Picture Ozzy in the early 1980s, reinvigorated by his solo success, riding high on the charts but still wrestling with the personal demons that had shadowed him since his days with Black Sabbath. In the whirlwind of his newfound solo fame, Ozzy's life was a dizzying mix of tours, album recordings, and the ever present temptations that come with rock stardom. The albums Diary of a Madman and Bark at the Moon followed in quick succession, each breaking new ground, musically and artistically, but also each recording session and tour brought Ozzy closer to the edge of physical and mental exhaustion. Despite his public persona as the indomitable Prince of Darkness, Ozzy was a man divided. On one hand, there was the wild, outlandish performer who captivated audiences with his antics and his charisma. On the other, there was John Michael Osborne, a father and a husband, struggling to keep his family together amidst the chaos of life on the road. By the mid 1980s, Ozzy's life began to take a toll not just on him, but also on his family. Sharon, ever his rock, steered his career with a firm hand, but even she found herself tested by Ozzy's increasingly erratic behavior. It was a period marked by legal troubles and controversies, like the infamous incident at a concert in 1982 when Ozzy bit the head off a live bat, thinking it was a rubber toy, an act that became one of rock's most notorious stories and solidified his legend as rock's wild man. Yet, beneath the sensational headlines, Ozzy was deteriorating. His battles with alcohol and drugs reached a critical point, leading to moments of profound personal crisis. The turning point came after a near-fatal ATV accident in 2003, which left him with severe injuries and a long, painful road to recovery. This brush with death was a wake-up call for Ozzy, prompting him to finally confront his addictions head-on. The years that followed were a time of healing and introspection. Ozzy began to make amends, rebuilding relationships with his children and reconnecting with his estranged Black Sabbath bandmates. In 2011, in a gesture that closed a circle, Black Sabbath announced a reunion with Ozzy as lead vocalist. The band returned to the studio to record 13, their first album with Ozzy in 35 years, which was met with critical and commercial success. Offstage, Ozzy continued to make peace with his past, embracing his role as a grandfather and often speaking out about the pitfalls of substance abuse, becoming an unlikely advocate for sobriety. His transformation from rock's eternal bad boy to a wise, if still irreverent, elder statesman was nothing short of remarkable. Yet the challenges were far from over. In 2020, Ozzy publicly revealed his battle with Parkinson's disease, a diagnosis he had kept private for years. Facing this new adversary, Ozzy's spirit remained unbroken. He continued to create music, releasing his album Ordinary Man and planning tours, refusing to let his illness dictate the terms of his life. Now, as we sit around this campfire, the tale of Ozzy Osbourne serves not just as an entertaining saga of rock and roll excess, but as a profound story of resilience, redemption, and the enduring power of love and family. From the darkness of his early days to the light of his later years, Ozzy's journey reminds us all that no matter how dark it gets, there's always a path back to the light. So let's raise another toast to Ozzy Osbourne, to his undying spirit, and to the music and lessons he leaves behind. Here's to the Prince of Darkness, a beacon for all seeking redemption and a reminder that it's never too late to change the course of our own stories. Cheers to Ozzy!